Hi, Shalom Aleichem. My name is Tamar Meisels, and in the last episode we spoke about what Yiddish is and the history of Yiddish, so if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you go watch that. In this episode, we are going to talk about 40 Yiddish words and expressions that I love to use and what they mean. My husband and I are both from Jewish European descent. Like many in our generation, our grandparents or parents spoke Yiddish, and then the next generation and the following generation generally don't really speak Yiddish, but we do incorporate a lot of Yiddish words and expression into our vocabulary, which is pretty amazing. I wanted to make a list of Yiddish words that I use, so I kind of paid attention for a few days what words I was using, and I was blown away by how much Yiddish we both use. So these are some of my favorites, and if your parents or grandparents spoke Yiddish, you probably have some of your own favorites. Okay, so we're gonna start with some foods. Now these are Eastern European foods that we love. So we have our bagel, gefilte fish, latke, kishka, knish, kreplach, pastrami, and kugel. Some of them have, Polish versions or European versions. The Jewish version, of course, has kosher meats, and we don't mix meat and dairy and stuff like that. Food related. So you have your schmaltz. Schmaltz basically means the gravy. My grandfather, we always say that he loved to dip his bread into the schmaltz and eat it like that. And chazer. Chazer means literally, it comes from Hebrew, it means pig, chazir. But chazer means like, I don't want to be a pig, I don't want to pig out. So you could say, I would love to take more of the brownies, but I don't want to be a chazer. And drek. Drek means like gross. Usually we say it about food. The way I know it, we say it about food. So you say like, oh, how were the desserts at the wedding? How were the desserts? And you could say, oh, it was a real drek. And when you think of drek, you think of like the opposite of like exquisite desserts. You have like your bureikasim or stuff like that, like puff pastry, just things that are just gross to you. And we have our balabusta and pachka. So our balabusta is someone who, she's just great in the kitchen. She's a real balabusta. She's a real hostess. And pachka means she's fussing in the kitchen, or like she's putting in a lot of little work in the kitchen. So you could say like, Mom, we're coming for Shabbos, but please don't pachka. Don't go crazy. Don't go in the kitchen. The next one is characters. We love to laugh at our Jewish characters. You could think of like the shtetl and Fiddler on the Roof, just all these different types. So you got your klutz, someone who just falls all the time and bangs things over. You have your kvetch. This word we use a lot. Kvetch means someone basically a whiner or whining. So we always say like about the baby, I say, please, could you please take the baby? She's really, really kvetchy. We use it as a verb. A mensch, he was a real mensch, just a really good person. So the new doctor is a real mensch, and he went out of his way to help me. Someone who's just a really good person. Meshugana, so meshugana, oh, he's meshugana, he's crazy. And we could also use this in like mishigas. Oh, she has her crazos, she has her own mishigas. Next we have our nebuch and shloch. Nebuch is like, just like this, someone who's a nebuch, he kind of walks like crooked, and he's someone who's not like standing tall and very confident. He's just like a nebuch. He's a little bit like, and shluch means more about his clothes. Like he's a shluch. He's wearing clothes. His clothes are big on him. Shlemazel. Shlemazel means someone with no mazel, no luck. He misses the bus or loses his keys. Oh, such a shlemazel. A shmata. Shmata means literally a rag. So we have shmatas in the house. My mom loves to always have shmatas, clean the house. And also you could become a shmata. Everyone dumps on me. I'm just a shmata. Schnurr means literally a beggar, someone who's a schnurr. I would ask him for some money, but I don't want to be a schnurr. A yenta. So yenta is like Fiddler on the Roof. You can imagine like this yenta in the village. And she knows all the gossip, she knows all the stories. So you say like, I was trying to find out what they were doing. I was a real yenta. Yenta means you're kind of nosy. You always want to know what's going on in everybody else's business. Then you have your chutzpahdik. All the nick, that's a Yiddish suffix. So you have chutzpahdik. So growing up, a lot of times we would say something a little bit nasty or something to my mom. She goes, oh, you're so chutzpahdik. You're just so like obnoxious, and you're just someone who has audacity and just says the wrong thing. Usually for me, I think of like a kid, someone who just, he's being chutzpahdik to the adults. This is very common in Hebrew also, kibbutznik and nudnik. So these words mean, kibbutznik means someone who lives in the kibbutz, and nudnik means, he's just badgering, someone who's annoying. He keeps coming back, and he keeps asking for the same thing. He's such a nudnik. Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is a Yiddish word that means your Judaism. So we use a lot of words. Some of them come from Hebrew, and we use them a lot. So we have shul, that means synagogue. We have our yahrzeit every year that one of our grandparents or someone was passed away. On that date is his yahrzeit. We light a candle for him, or we learn Torah for him, or somehow we try to keep his memory. Bench. So bench means to say a blessing. Mostly we use this for food. So you say, okay guys, we're gonna bench now. We're gonna say the blessing after the food. And then we also have like a book that has the prayer in it. So I say to my daughter, Ayala, can you please go get the benchers? And we have your yarmulke, that's your skull cap. Your kippah, we call it in Hebrew. Yontif. Yontif means Yom Tov, meaning the Jewish holiday came from Hebrew, and we say Yontif. It's a Yontif. So how many days of Yontif are we going to have? 1 or 2 days of Yontif. And of course, daven. Daven means to pray. Then you have your fun verbs that we just all love. So shluf, I hear my husband use that all the time. Yael, the baby was going to take a shluf. The baby just woke up from the shluf. Shluf, shluf, shluf. We love taking our shlufs. Everyone needs a shluf. And plots. Oh my gosh, I said the other day, I said, I need iced coffee, or I'm just going to plots. I'm wiped out. I'm going to fall down. Schmooze. I spoke to my friend, a little chit chat. So we're going to schmooze a lot. Schlep. Don't schlep that on your back. It's going to hurt your back. Please let the mover schlep it. We don't want to carry that. Then you have your new. It's very common also in Hebrew. New. Come on, let's go. Oy vey. So we have your oy. Oy means oh, but it's oy. Oy vey. Oh no. And then I like to use a lot. Oy vey izmir. Oy vey izmir means oh me. Oh woe me. Up to the expressions, I chose 4 expressions. Of course, there's literally hundreds of expressions. And if my Bubby and Zadie were here today, I would love to talk to them about some of their favorite expressions. But these are the ones that I chose. A Mensch tracht und Gott lacht. Man plans and God laughs. This is one of the most common Yiddish expressions. You think that you have all the power, you make the plans, but really, behind the scenes, it's really him who makes the plans. We think that we're making the plans. Ich bin euch ein Mensch. I'm also a person. So we started using this in our family recently. Usually it means like, I'm taking care of all the kids, and then finally I get to sit down and have a cup of coffee, or finally I get to sit down and maybe I'll get some dessert for myself. And then you say, Ich bin euch ein Mensch. I'm also a person. Kinder und Geld is a schöne Welt. Children and money make a nice world. What could be better, to have children, to have money. These are just great things. Trag Gesundheit. Wear it in good health. So my mother says this a lot in English, but I know that it's originally from Yiddish. Like I say to her, we bought a new closet, and she says, use it in good health. And the last one is Jeder Mensch oid sich sein Peckel. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing this right. So everyone has their own peckel. Everyone has their own burden. And a lot of times my grandparents would kind of say this version in English, and they would say, nobody doesn't have their own peckel of tsaros. Everyone has, if you look, everyone has their own tsaros. You think someone has a perfect life, or everyone has their own stuff going on, and like focus on your own tsaros and your own stuff that you have to deal with. So these are my lists of essential words and expressions. Of course, there's so much more. We have your nash, we have your shtick, we have your kiddush, there's hundreds of expressions. I'd love to know which words and expressions you feel are missing in this list. So sei gesund, thanks for being here. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Bye!